guys, welcome back. If you're new to my channel or simply not yet subscribed, my name's Brittany and I'm here with Susan.
Hello.
We're at the Old Stone Fort in Schoharie County, in Schoharie, New York, and let's see what we find.
Mohawks and the Oneida and the English in Albany, they're pretty reluctant to start fighting. The fighting will start in 1775 in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And there are Schoharie Palatines involved in the discussions in Albany about what people in this region are going to be doing for the people of Massachusetts. But when the war starts, the discussion shifts. And it now becomes about, are we going to step up and have militias of our own? And there's nobody's trying to send these guys to Massachusetts outright. There will be men from Albany County who will go to Canada the first year of the war, but the fighting won't start in Schoharie for another 2 years. And the biggest reason is that in Massachusetts, you have an occupying force of thousands of British soldiers present. That's what everybody has beef with. Everybody here hates the taxes too. But the violence in Boston that's been escalating since before the Boston Massacre, according to Mercy Otis Warren, who wrote one of the first comprehensive histories of the Revolution, the violence in Boston really starts escalating in 1768 when the troops arrive. In Boston, it's easy for war to erupt in 75 because the pressure's there. The heat is on.
Yeah.
Occupying forces lunging into the countryside for months, trying to seize ammunition from these different magazines. That's not happening in Schoharie. In fact, one of the first things that the brave patriotic militia is going to do in the valleys is 3,000 Mohawk Valley militiamen are going to assemble, and they're going to go disarm their neighbors in Johnstown.
Wow.
Legacy that, the Second Amendment crowd is drawing from, careful putting this part out there, but that legacy that the Second Amendment crowd is drawing from their militia roots is pretty questionable, especially in the sources in Albany.
Okay.
Very different war here for sure. And in Schoharie, it's not going to be regular armies moving through. It's going to be partisan armies coming back, taking revenge on their neighbors, augmented on both sides by contributions from the regular army. There are going to be American regular troops here later in the war. There are going to be British regular troops here every time a loyalist raid comes in. There are redcoats there to help, but it's not an army coming through. It's a loyalist raid. Yeah. Well, let's go and take a look back up at the church. I'll tell you a little bit about these buildings. Like I said, Hartmansford moved on. The Hartmansford house is moved from Hartmansford just up the road. The Oliver Schoolhouse. We've got that all decked out like the 1860s. We've got a bell up there that when it's open, you can ring the bell.
That's cool.
Yeah, I just love that. James Badgley, 1972. And it sits across from the stone fort, which was built in 1772. Now the stone fort, again, is built as a church at first. And two other structures down this way are built in 1772 of stone.
That's great.
In 1777, this and several other stone structures in the valley will be fortified. Now when they fortify this into a fort, after the fighting breaks out here at the Battle of the Flockey, where I didn't point this out while we were down there, but there's a brick building you can see right up on this hillside, and the Battle of the Flockey kind of starts there.
Okay.
There's a loyalist muster there that gets interrupted by the arrival of dozens of horseback troops from Albany coming to break up that gathering. They chase those guys all the way down to Vrooman's Nose, where the first cavalry charge.
Wow.
So that's the Battle of the Flockey.
That's in Middleburg.
Yes.
I don't know if you knew.
This and several other structures in the valley are fortified into forts. There will be 3 forts in the valley. The upper southern end, from which the Schoharie River or Schoharie Creek flows, that is the first fort that a lot of loyalists will encounter on their raids. The middle fort in Middleburg is just that, the middle fort.
Okay.
And the lower fort, are the 3 forts that guard the Schoharie Valley and the southwesterly approach.
Okay.
And I mean, again, it's important to geographically consider because even when the settlement here is developing earlier in the 18th century, it sort of serves the Albany government as a barrier, a European barrier between them and the Seneca Nation and the Western Native peoples and the Lakes peoples, with whom they've got a lot less understanding than the Mohawks. They've got a lot less familiarity, but it's also, you've got the French and other agents taking up relations with those people. You don't have a lot of control over how that goes. So when they fortify this and several other structures, what that's going to look like is there's going to be a bunch of sharpened upright logs punched into the soil, like a palisade, we call that.
Okay.
A log wall. There's going to be a log block house down at this end, like a small tower kind of overlooking the corner. That log wall is going to go all the way around the church and cemetery. There's going to be another block house down at this corner. They're going to watch that approach and that approach. When the 1780 raid comes through, most of the army actually takes what must have been a seasonably low road, a low crossing point, because this road in front of us that y'all drove up on, that's the road that's present at the time of the revolution. But most of the army in 1780 doesn't take that road. They go on the other side of the fort down in the low ground. And as people in this tower and these block houses begin to see the natives attached to the raid crossing the high ground right across that far tree line,
Okay.
a cannon starts hitting the fort from the other side. Hits the fort 3 times. I'll show you guys inside. We have a ball in the section of beam that it was found lodged in, that was lodged there during the 1780 raid up in the Purling. You should actually go take a look at that before it gets too dark. But
Okay.
We'll do that. They're impacting people. And Albany has the Sons of Liberty just like most other cities its size. And the wealthier men here who tendered a lot of the stone for this, they were members of some of those organizations. So, you know, we do have, again, even though the fighting won't start till 1777, we do have those conversations cooking. This hole up in the Purling, right?
Okay, yep.
Supposedly punched by a 3-pound ball that I'll show you later, that was fired during the 1780 raid. Now, this place is surrounded by a palisade wall, so like tall wooden stakes, right? They'd have to be pretty far out not to punch through the wall and hit that. Just
Yeah, to go like over.
Right. Well, and they're not using a piece that's going to send a ball over.
Over, yeah.
Using their mortar. They're using their 3-inch grasshopper, which is going to have more of a you can angle it, but
it's not going to curve as much.
No, yeah. So we're still trying to figure out what placement that looked like. They were across the creek at that point, but again, this road is what takes you down to the crossing. They must have taken a seasonably low route, forded it some other way down here with the bulk of the force. The only element we read about on the other side of the fort, like I said, is the natives attached with Joseph Brant, and we don't really read about any element of the force.
1766, when men are declaring their patriotism, they're joining organizations like the Sons of Liberty to resist these taxes and laws and stuff. At that moment, it's a pretty brave, fearless thing to declare yourself a patriot. These guys at that point are like, we could hang for this. They start making organizations, they start drafting documents, they're like, this really needs to work or we're gonna die. By the time the fighting starts, like 10-ish years later, it is a far more dangerous thing in most of these communities to declare yourself a loyalist. And whereas the patriots were afraid of what might happen if they fail, the loyalists are having acts of violence carried out against them for years before the war.
Yeah.
This aggression doesn't come out anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty horrible.
Yeah.
So if anybody is upstairs with us, this is a music box. If you just want to step in front of it and let us know that you are here. Or you can come by this little device and let us know. So we can leave that there. If anything walks in front of it, then we'll know. You can tell us your age, how old you are. Or if you fought in a war.
It might not be the children.
Were there any children here during that time?
Mm-hmm.
Like, would families live here together?
Yeah, families came here to worship together.
Oh yeah, because it was a church.
Yeah, children were here with their families. There were dozens of families taking shelter here during the siege.
Okay.
That's why there were 3 valley forts. They don't go to those places.
So are you not a child? Are you a man or a woman? Is there anything that you want anybody to know? You can talk right to Susan. She's wearing the headphones.
What's she doing?
We're just trying to communicate with you. We want to know why you're here. A little bit more about you.
If it might not be the children, who might it be?
Working up?
Are you working up the energy? You can take the energy from any of the batteries that we have to help you communicate. Is it hard for you to communicate? Or do you not want to?
When the night?
Are you waiting till it gets later to communicate?
We've heard that before. We like when it's dark.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. And that was pretty close to like an answer with what I was asking. Do they do tours here throughout the entire year, or is it only?
No.
Is it a no?
When people call, we're always trying to book.
Okay. How many spirits are in the building?
We're a half trip with
Can you repeat that? Can you say that again? Can you tell Susan again?
Do I ask again?
What?
Do I ask again?
How many spirits? How many spirits are in this building with us? Can you give us a number?
I love you 2 times.
Don't.
Technology existed, there was too much concrete here, I think.
Okay.
Or it's simply something that
It's better.
it costs money to have that work done.
Yeah.
That would honestly be my guess.
We do have the music box upstairs. None of us are up there, so if that goes off, then that is clearly not us. Here. Is there anybody buried right here?
Death?
Can you give us your name? Did you hear that? You said what the fuck? Yeah.
Can you tell us when you died?
I heard something like AD, but I didn't hear the actual year. Did you die on the property? Come here. Is it come here, maybe? Maybe we poke around the cemetery a little bit, and then by that time it'll be darker, and we can try again upstairs. There are a lot of people that have died on the property buried in here.
No. Not a lot of combat deaths buried here. No deaths from the raids that I know of.
Hi.
Are there any spirits out here who would like to talk to us tonight?
That's what she got.
Are you buried here in this cemetery? Do you not like visitors to the cemetery?
Turn it off.
Do you...
Pen. Same thing.
Is there anyone here who wants to talk to us?
How can I say that I...
Do you not like coming out during the day?
Hear me? 7.
It's after 7. Are there 7 of you here?
Try.
You're trying to talk to us?
There was a... He who hears something.
Are you guys just talking
Ask
to
the
you?
Lord Jesus.
Did you used to pray when this was a church? Do you know if the Reverend...
Man, you can.
Do you know if the Reverend was buried under the pulpit in the church?
Girls.
Are there girls buried in the church?
You. Can't, girl.
Do you not want to talk to us because we're girls?
Susan.
Oh, yeah, that's me. Hi. Is there another...
Messed up.
Is there another Susan here, or are you talking to me? My name is Susan. Is your name Susan?
And enabling us.
Enabling you to do what? Like, do you like talking to us?
Real sick. Only an hour. Something.
Do you not like it when people come into the cemetery? For reasons like this?
Here we go.
Do you think
Here's the...
Not a whole lot. There were some interesting things that kind of sounded like they didn't really like us out here. And also that they're still waiting for dark.
I thought the one thing I do remember is that it said something about God. I've never heard like any religious thing go through it. So I did think that was interesting, especially being right by.
Yeah, it wasn't related to a question. I tried asking after that if they prayed here, and they did not respond.
It also seemed like they couldn't all get through.
Yeah.
There were some things that I like. It like faded at the end, or where it kind of sounded like a word, but it's like I don't know.
There was one, the word girls, when we were talking about the pulpit. There's 2 artifacts right behind the pulpit.
Okay.
It's a pair of painted chests made for a pair of twins in 1779.
Huh.
They were probably chests that came with those girls when those girls took shelter here the following year in 1780.
Oh.
Those girls survived the war. So they would not have been people that met their fate here. But those are artifacts that are right behind the pulpit. And I wonder if girls, in connection with that line of questioning...
Yeah.
Well, and a lot, when it pertains to an artifact, sometimes spirits get connected to an artifact.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Residual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, if something's important to them.
I mean, these were chests that were made for these girls. They have their names on them. I'll show you guys as soon as we go back in. Yeah.
We call them the Niskern chests. For the Niskern girls.
Yeah.
Margareta Niskern and Elizabeth Niskern.
Were there 5 when they came?
And they were here during the siege, these boxes.
But they didn't die here.
No.
You said that you thought that Mr. Pond over there might have something to say.
Certainly an individual buried here whom we know to have been spirited. And given the things that he was spirited about and the convictions that he expressed in the editorials in his paper, and that he died in 58, this man probably did not like how the next decade unfolded for the United States. The
Yeah.
end, the abolition of slavery and yeah.
So, how about we walk down there?
Yeah.
Maybe try to get in contact with him.
Also, good riddance, damn that man. But,
What was his first name?
I don't remember.
Oh, it's a mausoleum which has multiple. There's Glovina. Is that right?
Benjamin
Was him?
Bond.
Okay.
Yeah.
Benjamin, would you like to talk to us?
Are there any cons who hung around here and would like to talk to us?
Specifically?
Benjamin, are you here?
We heard that you wrote a paper. Can you tell us about it? Was something. Did your family support your views?
I believe there's one account of one woman dying from like maybe it's a cardiac event.
Okay.
Due to just like the sheer excitement of it all. And then a woman in the lower fort who's like wounded by a piece of something that's struck by a ball or something. But yeah, they were moving so fast when they came through in 1780. Johnson had intended to really lay waste, again, with the primary goal of getting all the loyalist families out that they could. When they got to the upper fort, they entered the Schoharie Valley at the south end, which we call the upper fort because it's upstream.
Okay.
It's south of us. When they got to the upper fort, the defenders of the upper fort fired on them almost immediately. Johnson gives the order to burn everything within 50 yards of the forts. And I think that that's because they wanted the destruction to be as close to the fort as possible, and maybe that the flames and the smoke would obscure people's vision, their movements. But in the end, they know the people in these forts are going to stay there. Like, none of these forts has the military capacity to chase the raiders.
Yeah.
And once they get engaged 12 miles south of here, they're moving the whole time. They get here at the end of the day. I don't think that the fort's defenders are like, holy shit, here they come, here they are, for more than like 30 minutes, start to finish. It's very fast.
Camera just randomly turned off there. Try that again. Did you hear that? We were able to turn off the camera and the internet videos on the equipment. We would just walk by the stairs or touch the pink thing on the floor over there. Right over there.
How many spirits are in the room with us at this moment upstairs?
Are you trapped in one of the cases with an object? The room. Okay. Which item are you attached to specifically? Coin is, who's a coin? Point, like arrows? Is it this, were you in this case here with all the different rocks? If it is a spirit that you're attached to, can you shape that spirit? There's lots of
Which, who knocked over the animals in the case over there? Do you like when it's dark out? I guess.
Do you like the dark or just when the museum's closed?
Did you own things here?
Are we talking to more than one spirit? You had said that 9 spirits frequent here. Are there always 9 spirits here? Were you born in Schoharie? We heard that you like it better when it's dark. So hopefully now you'll want to talk to us. You can communicate right through this with us. And kind of use me to communicate. If you need more energy, you can take it from any of our batteries.
And just turn down the cat ball too, so they can touch that once it stops.
There's also a music box over that way. And there's also the REM pod, that pink thing turned on. I think I have that back. Do I have that backwards? Because that doesn't feel right.
All good? I shall take that as a yes. Alright. Is there any spirits up here with us right now?
Won't do with. Help me.
What do you need help with?
Something dude is.
We've been hearing more modern phrases. Are you... did you die more recently?
Something forgive.
Forgive what? Are you a modern ghost who just likes messing with people?
I don't.
Is there more than one spirit here today?
With you?
Are you the only one here with me?
With the end of something.
Do you normally like the dark here because there's no one else around?
Noah's Ark.
Alright.
All the animals. We heard double, we heard two earlier, two of.
Yeah. Is that your favorite passage from the Bible? Are you a child?
Did you die?
I know.
Did you die in a flood?
Does this place remind you of Noah's Ark?
Pastor.
Are you a pastor? Was the pastor the one who told you the story of Noah's Ark?
Would you?
Did someone liken the shelter of animals on Noah's Ark to people sheltering within the fort?
Is first.
Yeah, Noah's Ark is at the beginning. It's the book of Genesis.
Do you read all the different Bibles in here at night?
Start with that.
Do you speak German? Do you speak High Dutch, Low Dutch?
He never said.
Did you work in this building or down at the parsonage?
I smell tuna fish. That didn't come through that, but I smell like tuna fish.
Interesting.
Terrifying.
Are you terrified of tuna fish?
Did you die at sea?
Could that also be why you like Noah's Ark?
John or Peter? It's New Testament.
Visiting for a godless.
Visiting for a godless. One of the early pastors that came to preach to the congregation here in the room. Did you work with the Mohawks, with the Oneidas?
Were you here before the war?
For the most part, they were.
Do you talk to other spirits?
I'm getting a pain in this head.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything make sense?
Not.
Yeah, kind of like Noah's Ark and smelling tuna fish. And then
Well, yeah, I literally smell. Like, that was me. I smell.
I
the tuna
understand.
fish,
I understand. So it's like the ocean fish.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that made me think of there's a New Testament passage that kept coming up in Palatine art. Again, I think it's John or Judges, but it's the disciples talking to Jesus or somebody and complaining, "We've been fishing, we've toiled all day and caught nothing. Keep trying one more time and I promise you'll catch something," and they do. So I don't know if that's, but then there was something else about like in the beginning, and it was right after we've been talking about Noah's Ark, and Noah's Ark is in Genesis. It's the beginning of the Old Testament. Yeah.
I don't know much. I'm an ominist, but so I believe in every god and different.
Well, I don't
Like-
believe in anything, but I was brought up in an Old Testament household, and like
Yeah, I've never read the Bible.
No, yeah, through this research, I've had to learn a lot about the Bible because these people were pretty devout.
Yeah.
And it did kind of seem like you were talking to a pastor.
Yeah, it definitely said pastor. And anything, there's a lot that were like, well, it kind of sounds like this, but anything God related was very, very clear and loud. Like, somebody is literally just like preaching. Because pastors are normally, they're like very confident, they're very loud, they're very precise.
Yeah.
And they like project their voice to talk to everybody that they're preaching to. And anytime it was very, like God related, it was never a whisper. It was very like dead set.
Yeah, that stuff seemed to come through pretty. And then working with the godless made me think of like the reverends that were sent here early on in the first 50 to 75 years. There was a lot of pressure on them from the Society for the Propagation of the Gospel in foreign parts to convert the natives. Their job on paper was administering to the godless.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the responses just seemed almost like they were talking more amongst themselves than trying to talk to us.
I think with the artifacts, though, like I said, I think that there is a lot of residual more than active, like intelligent spirits. Just because, like, not saying that there's no intelligent spirits here. And I like firmly believe that just because we might not get a lot doesn't mean that somebody else that comes in, like, they may get a ton. It just kind of depends on the day. It depends on the spirits. It becomes like it's just the way the stars align. Essentially. My sister called me from work the other day, and they were discussing because I obviously believe in the paranormal. I also believe in aliens. And because to me, I don't know what your stance on aliens is. I think that where the universe is just way too big for there not to be something else. Like,
Yeah,
we're
I
like,
think that too.
and there's already been like microorganisms found on other planets. So there's definitely the existence of life in some form in other on other planets. So the chances of another being, maybe not looking entirely like us, but something.
Every time you find a new bacteria or water droplet up there, the chances increase.
Yeah. And so she's like, do you think that, or I guess they were listening to a podcast at work, and she's like, her boss was like, why don't you ask your sister? Because she believes in spirits and she believes in aliens. And the question was, if aliens do exist, is it possible for them to become a ghost? It's a question that you just have to sit and think about. And I was like, well, I think that anything that has a soul can become a ghost. So I'm not, like, I don't know if aliens have a soul. I don't know if all aliens have a soul. Like, they could be, I mean, some people are even considered soulless, whether they have a soul or not. And I've never actually interacted with aliens, so I can't be like, oh yeah, they have a soul. But we've been proven to. So I think that there's ghost cats. Like with these animals, there could be.
I almost asked, are you a human? Yeah.
Yeah, there could be ghost animals. What's your take?
I mean, yeah, I feel like, one of the main arguments is, obviously if there is other life, we are alien to them, so if we can have a soul, there's no reason to say that they can't. So if we can become ghosts, then to me it stands to logic that any other life form can become a ghost. I think the bigger question, I think, to me would be, are ghosts inherently tied to the planet where they die?
Oh, that's a good question. I kind of almost like astral projection in a way.
Yeah.
I used to think of it as people who got stuck trying to figure it out.
Yeah, they're kind of like in purgatory or whatever, yeah.
That's why I kind of expected to run into it a lot more at battlefields. But then I do have this belief about death that you get to spectate. And so I think that belief is sort of tied to a sense of you don't have to be trapped. You can come down and check shit out.
Yeah, I think that too. I think that there's definitely the spirits that are, they have unfinished business. I mean, we talked to the one at Ski Manor where they said that they were stuck there because they had to tell their family something, like their existing family something. And I do think that there's beings like spirits and stuff you can look back on your loved ones. You can still interact with your loved ones. You don't always have to stay where you go. Well, I guess it depends if you believe in hell. And then, obviously, then you might have to stay where you go.
I still think you get spectator passes, and I don't really know how I feel that works, but I do. But I do.
What it does is when it's at a specific point, it works kind of as a touch lamp. So if any spirits are here, you can use that to help communicate. And these are called dowsing rods. You can use these as well as me to help communicate. Okay, and you center them. Thank you. Can you show me what a yes looks like? Thank you. Can you just put them back in the middle? Can you put them back in the middle, please? A little bit more. Okay, now can you give me a no? Can you show me what a no looks like? It's like it's trying. Is a pastor here with us? Yes. Thank you. Can you recenter them?
Ooh. Flashlight.
Oh. Can you make the flashlight turn off? I just have to touch it again. Can you turn it back on? Just to confirm that you're here? What's the pastor's name that they think is buried in the...
Johannes Schuyler.
Johannes Schuyler, are you buried in the church? You can either use the dowsing rods to say yes or no, or you can turn on that flashlight for a yes.
Maybe it's a different pastor.
It might be. Or maybe he's like, oh no, this is a mystery and it's staying. Are you a different pastor? I think that's a yes. They just don't have a lot of
Energy.
It moves a little bit more at the end because my hand twitched, but at first it was going. Do you have a hard time communicating? Would you like us to leave? Yes, yes. Okay, well, we're going to be leaving in a couple of minutes. Can you recenter them? Thank you. Is there anything you would like to tell us before we leave? Just a no.
She's like, yeah.
It actually, yeah, that's a no. It actually sounded like it was trying to, like, pick this up. Because I, like, heard it start, like, pulling. It was just like, I have the energy, I just don't want to talk to you. Do you not like, oh, can you center it? Thank you. Do you not like that none of us are very religious? Okay, can you recenter it? And that's the strongest yes.
Yeah.
Like, you're not part of my congregation.
No? Can you recenter it?
Would,
Oh, you can go.
I was gonna say, would you talk to someone of your own faith?
All right.
Is there a heaven? Or a hell? And so is Christianity, right?
Oh, the
Or-
light's back on.
Oh. And that's a yes. Can you turn the flashlight off?
Wow.
If we're still talking to the pastor, can you turn that back on? Are you done talking to us? Yes. Okay. Well, thank you. I do think that does play a large role with it being a church and them being so, like that playing such a huge part. If it is the pastor who is buried here or even another pastor.
Yeah, most of the
And-
clear things we got are
We're
religion
not,
related.
yeah, related. So if they could sense that maybe we're not religious, or we did talk about it at like one point.
Are you guys baptized?
Yes, I am.
I'm not.
Twice.
Hell yeah.
Well, I'm baptized. I was baptized as a baby in the Roman Catholic Church, and then I was baptized when I was 19 or 20 in the Baptist Church. That's when I had actually seen that. Like, I do honestly believe that was an angel because I've never seen anything like it. It felt so warm and light. It was literally, they had just went on, what are those things called where they go and they like build things and help?
Mission.
Yeah, they went on a mission trip and this guy got up, his name was Johnny, and he was explaining about what his experience was. And behind him, there was it looks like a guy, it looked like just hollowed out eye sockets, which is a little, so I should be scared seeing something that looks like it has hollowed out eye sockets.
The New Testament description of angels is terrifying, and it's like 1,000 eyes.
Well, yeah, that would make sense then. But it's he had hollowed out eye sockets and then a beard. But it was just this like white figure that was completely like it was like if you took the image of a person and then you like edited it to just be all just white, but you could still see certain like outlines.
Weird contours.
Yeah. And then it like just was very this bright light around it. And even when Johnny got off the stage, it stayed until Pastor Kelly walked in front of it, and then he moved and it disappeared. And then I was like, well, I think that this is the right decision as of right now. It takes a lot for it to turn on. I guess we'll end night since I don't want to really talk.